Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Season 19. As per usual, I go through the patch notes and give my personal opinion on all the changes, the state of the game and the possible improvements that we need. And I think it's safe to say this season is not really a good season for Vigor. And it's not only because of the lack of content and improvements, but also the reputation of the game has taken some hits in my opinion. As far as content goes, we got a new battle pass and a new melee weapon. The battle pass itself is not bad per se, the theme fits very well with the long shoreline that Norway has, and it makes sense that some survivors took to the seas. The cosmetics themselves looks good, the new beards are always great, so I kinda like the battle pass. However, they raised the experience requirements for the battle pass by another 6% on top of the 18% that they already added last season. This means an increase from 4 million to 5 million experience in 2 seasons time. And so many people have complained about this last season that they were struggling to complete it, and it's just a shame that after so many people voiced their concern about it in season 18 that the devs did not listen to it. And because of that reason, I will not be buying the battle pass this season. I got enough crates to complete it, I got enough time to complete it, I even have enough crowns to complete it. I just refuse to buy it just because they raised the experience once again. The new melee weapon, well, it's another knife. We already got a knife last season, we also got a melee rework last season, and although it's all a step in the right direction, it's still not really a viable way to enter an encounter, which makes me feel that all of this is just content for the sake of having content. Now, besides these 2 points, that's pretty much where it ends for Season 19. Yes, they also did some bug fixes, but not really. The exits on Anakin and Battery are open again, but is that really something we should be applauding for? Why were they even closed to begin with? I understand that stuff can break sometimes, but stuff seems to be breaking every season and it's always taking way too long to be fixed. On top of that, there are so many bugs that still are not fixed. Being locked into the looting animation where you can't sprint anymore, being locked out of your consumable wheel, grenades not being thrown. The zoom on the M14 is still broken, which is something they should have patched right away. The music on Ikevian is still active. Like, all of these bugs, when are these going to be fixed? And I get that some of these are complicated bugs and take time, but honestly, the zoom on the M14, that's just a parameter that you need to change, right? It can't be that much work. They also released 2 free packs for the PlayStation and the Xbox, but is that really content, especially since it's only for Game Pass owners and PS Plus owners? So we didn't really get much new stuff this season. And on top of that, there is still a lot of content that was promised but never delivered. The weapons rework was to be completed last year, but was forwarded to the middle of 2024. Well, it's almost June and we still have no clue when consoles are going to even get a hint of this. And more about this topic later. We also lost the legacy seasons, which was announced long ago, like a year ago, that they were going to be removed at one point and be replaced with a new system so that all the old content would stay accessible to the players. Again, this was supposed to be done last year already, but it got pushed back to this year. And now they have finally removed legacy seasons from the game, but the new system to replace them isn't here. They already nerfed the drop rate of blueprints and the crates long ago, and now they have cut out the only consistent way to obtain blueprints. Basically forcing all the new players into the store and spend crowns if they want to get into the game at all. Even a basic blueprint like a bandage or ammo is now only obtainable through the in-game store. And yes, they say there are still plans in the crates, but they nerfed them so much, people are still complaining that they don't even have a plan after a whole season. Is that really the progression that we want for new players, like play an entire season and still only be stuck with a Thompson? And their excuse for all of this is the PC release. Even though they said it would not interfere with the main content development, it actually does. Now, I'm not going to say that releasing to PC was a bad idea. Any game that expands their platforms is a good move, however, the way it was handled could have been done better. First, putting it behind a paywall was not really a good idea to draw in a whole new player base, especially when it's a 5-year-old game that's being put into early access. Second, there was no promotion for the existing community to obtain a free key whatsoever. And third, they put the weapon balance, a game-changing feature that we have been waiting for over a year, behind a paywall. Sure, the PC release got a lot of attention, And a lot of big content creators took a bite out of the hype of the release. But we're almost 3 weeks further now and that hype is gone, together with all those big content creators. And it honestly feels like we are left with less than we had before. The player base for the PC isn't exactly great either. The numbers are declining quite fast. It started at a peak of 1,000 players at the release, but that peak has been dropping below 300 already. So I think the PC release is going to be a short-lived thing as long as it's in early access and behind a paywall. The reviews aren't that great either. They started at 45% positive reviews. It has already climbed up to 52-53% I think. But they could have done a lot better, even for a game that's in early access. We know that the teams do not work in the PC build, which is a big issue, because it also leads to people just queue syncing in the solo lobbies and teaming up like that. And that is going to cause a lot of negativity for the people who just want to play solo lobbies. Can't really blame the people for teaming in solos when there's no team option. And for a game that's already 5-year-old, it should have released in a much better state. But then again, the console version should also have been in a better state by now. As for the weapon balance on the PC, I've seen some footage. I didn't get a key to try it out myself unfortunately, which is a shame, but I'm not going to pay just to try this out. They should have really been a bit more considerate to their console players. And I really think we are going to have to dial back our expectations about it. I would expect this to be ready by now. It should be at least 95% ready, right? But I'm doubting that it is. That, or the changes that we are hoping for, are not going to be that great. It's not possible to just judge it without actually feeling it for yourself. But I am starting to doubt how big this change is actually going to be. We see some stamina tweaks, but it still seems like the LMGs are going to be overpowered assault rifles. And in terms of movement, I don't see a whole lot of changes. I've also seen people using LMGs in first person mode while not being prone, while that is something that is not possible on console. And with the PC release, I am doubting how much of this rework is actually focused on the PC build and not the console. Mouse and keyboard will always be different than a controller, and I think part of this rework was done to make the game work on PC and not just for the sake of balancing things. This is of course pure speculation by myself, but considering everything we have seen in the past 2 years, I think we should not put our expectations too high anymore, which is a shame that we have to think like this. And I don't want to burn down a part of Vigor that hasn't even been released yet, but they really need to start showing us stuff about this rework, like actual detailed changes, and start giving us a real ETA when it's going to be released and commit to that. Overall, the biggest problem with Vigor is always time. Everything takes way too long. And in a video gaming landscape where new games are released daily, especially on PC, Vigor needs to step it up. There are so many quality of life changes that we need, that this game needs to survive. And basic features that you can find in any game are still not available in Vigor. There's no daily reward system, there's no real endgame content, no presets for loadouts or outfits, no custom key binding. When is all that stuff going to come if we're still waiting on those weapon reworks and legacy season reworks? Overall, I feel this season is incredibly weak and not even worth it to call an update. Most of the bug fixes are actually cosmetical, and as usual, the changelog does not even cover everything. 2 examples I can give is that they changed the sound of the comm stations after using it. It's a good change, but unfortunately it's not documented anywhere in the changelog. Smoke grenades can now be thrown further than before. I'm not sure if that is a bug fix or a tweak that they did. Last season you could only throw them like right in front of you, but now you can actually throw them as far as any other grenade. But again, it's nowhere to be seen in the changelog. So what is the point of a changelog if you don't document any changes? Especially if you're going to miss out on the few positive aspects that your update does have. I went through nearly every video I could find the first week when the PC version was released, and it really feels like Vigor got more damage to its reputation than anything else because of the season. It obviously didn't help that they basically set aside their existing community. I don't understand how the devs did not realize that they could use their strongest aspect of the game to publish their PC release, and that was their existing community. All they had to do was give out free keys to the existing player base and the game would have had nearly 3 times as many players on launch. But they chose not to. They chose to put the one thing console players have been waiting on for forever behind the paywall and on a different platform. So I think it's safe to say that Season 19 of Vigor is garbage. Yeah, it's garbage. I don't like making negative videos, but there's not much more you can say about this. And it's not just the content and the lack of content, but also the way the team has treated the community for these past 2 months. Right, that's gonna be it for today. As you may already know, I am struggling to record on my Xbox for gameplay. I'm trying to fix that. I still got games in my backlog to be posted. But if content is a bit weak this season, it's going to be because 1, I can't record, and 2, the game is not really holding my attention right now. Thank you all for watching and see you all next video. Bye!